You recording?
I am.
Thanks everybody for attending today. Do members have any declarations of conflicts of interest? I don't see any. Let me get a mover and seconder, if I may, for everything before us today. Moved by Laura, seconded by Sam. Thank you. So we just have the one item for consideration, and then we got minutes as well. Yeah, so let's vote on the minutes unless there's any errors or omissions. Show of hands, those in favor of the minutes. Thank you very much. So that leaves us with 4.1. Maria, do you want to take us through an overview, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
So through the chair, Maria Saki.
Mhm.
Know you all know me now, and you know Heather Carvalho. Heather is the manager of communications and community engagement, and worked really hard on this campaign over the last 4 or 5 months. And so did the rest of the comms team. So there wasn't anybody on the team that didn't touch this file. So I hope that the work reflects that. So today we're presenting the findings from the Strengthening Community Engagement Consultation Campaign, which gathered feedback on how the city can improve our engagement processes. So as the task force knows, the engagement campaign included an online survey, a series of in-person events that the city's comms team attended between December and the middle of March. And we also hosted 3 public meetings. And in that time, we heard from a real diverse range of residents, as you would think we would, because we touched a lot of different demographics. And that was really the intention of this exercise. And what we wanted to learn from them was we wanted to find out what they thought the barriers to participating in city engagement campaigns were, what their preferred engagement methods would be in the future, and opportunities for the city to enhance their access to being able to participate and enhance our transparency in terms of the way that we report the findings and the way that we tell the community how their inputs influence council decisions. So that was something that, as you could see in the data, was a theme that came out over and over again, is that it won't surprise anybody that a number of the people who participated are people who are very engaged in civic life and have participated in previous campaigns. And many of those folks wanted to know how their input was used, so that it didn't just kind of float in cyberspace somewhere. And while we always report back to council on the findings of any engagement campaign, it's not always that easy for a constituent to find that report on a specific agenda. So that was really good feedback to hear, that we need to make it easier for people to close the loop on how their feedback was used. So given the findings of the campaign and the fact that they're going to update the community involvement framework, we also in the conclusion piece of the report outlined a few key recommendations that we would like to carry over into an update to the community involvement framework. And to build more trust in the engagement process, we're going to look at implementing clearer follow-up comms, such as publishing something called What We Heard, right? Just like a new section on our website that is devoted specifically to, these are all the results of the engagement campaigns that we've run, and these were the connections of those findings to ultimate decisions of council. Another thing we can do is just add the findings to the Let's Talk Brantford project page. So all of those pages remain searchable, they remain live, they get archived. So someone could look back to, let me see the Southwest Community Park engagement campaign findings, and they could find that on Let's Talk Brantford. We don't do that now, but that's a really easy thing to implement into our protocols. So we did really get a lot of good ideas from people. So that's why it's very worthwhile to do this comprehensive level of outreach from time to time. We also heard that people would welcome incentives to participate in city engagement campaigns, such as discounts on city recreational programming or tickets to the Sanderson Center. We've used incentives before to get more people to participate in the survey, and there's no question it does work. It absolutely does work. It does increase the level of participation. There was also support to establish public consultation thresholds for major municipal decisions. So, for example, people said that if you're going to look at selling a significant community and city asset, or you're going to look at making a significant investment in a new one, you should put in your community involvement framework that there are at least 2 town halls, so that people have an opportunity to, they can't make one date, they can go to the other date. If it's a big decision, then that's the least that we should provide. And so that is what we're going to come back to you with in the community involvement framework is if the decision is this impact on the community, this is the level of engagement that you need to do. So as outlined in the report, it's our intention to bring that updated framework to the task force for consideration in May. So that's a general summary. There is a lot of data that was attached to the report. Happy to answer any questions.
Super, very well done. Most appreciated. As Gino said, it was very colorful.
Yes.
Members of the committee, comments, questions? Councillor Samwell, you've got my attention first. Go ahead. That's why she sits next to me.
Anyways, no, I just wanted to say it was a really great report, and I was pleased to see how much feedback we were able to receive. And I just wanted to comment that I really liked the ideas about how you intended to kind of close the loop on the feedback, because I do think that's a common thread that I've been hearing too over time. And I think that, you know, even how it talked about how people want to have town halls and things like that, but they're not coming. I think if we could start to make them feel like their feedback mattered more and that they were more valued, then we would see better attendance. So I'm really happy with all of the ideas that you want to add to the framework. So I appreciate that.
Great, thank you.
Laura,
I agree.
jump in.
Yeah, I agree. I think the what we heard, what you told us type content, I think is really going to appease some people. Not everyone's going to be happy. But I think, you know, and like who I'm working for now, they want to see the results of the surveys that we're running the state of PR survey. They want to see the results of it, right? And sometimes you don't see the results of these surveys until the decisions are made, like Airedale. And they're like, oh, only 200 people decided Airedale is going to happen. Well, no, the city decided it wasn't 200 people, but I do think it's important that they see whether it's charts and then like word clouds or a couple of anonymized comments, especially if multiple people gave the idea of what we heard. You're literally putting their commentary into action. And you're right, it's going to show that their opinion matters if they're willing to show up for it.
Great, thanks, Laura.
Jay?
Is there a possibility to create like a what we heard website?
Yeah.
So that it would be not just a page on something, but what we heard Brantford that you could go to, so you could even advertise with what we heard, just kind of as a source, and then they could search various listening units and
Sure.
I just.
Yeah, we would make it like, we call it like a little microsite within
Yeah,
our site.
exactly.
Yeah, so, yes, yeah. We could
Like a
definitely
what we
look at doing
heard.
that.
But I think this is tremendous, and I think as Councilor Samuel said about closing the loop. And I do think that that could increase attendance if people really do see that we have these reports come out in the end. And regardless of whether the city makes a decision that it's the same way the public was sort of talking about, that we're still being transparent about that, and that transparency is called, even if the decision is in a different direction. So I think that's great.
Thank you. One more little comment, actually.
Yes,
off
go
what you
ahead, Laura.
Thank you. Based off what you just said, actually, maybe on that microsite, there's a sort of, what are the steps? What's the flow chart? Because it mentioned in the report, people asked, does council actually hear what we said?
Mhm.
Do you guys give that back to council? So it's like, if we have an event, there's an idea, we have a town halls, feedback is consolidated and anonymized and whatsoever it goes to council or comes to this committee, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And obviously it doesn't have to be specific per project, but generally it's like it goes to a committee or to council and then. So that people know that it's not just communications department that hears it or engineering or whoever, that it's the councilors who are actually making our decisions for us, so.
Oh, that's a good idea, and within that sort of flow chart of a timeline, we could also just plug in the actual dates of the council meetings.
Sure.
And remind people that they can come and delegate at those meetings as well, so that they get an audience with council.
Within the 60 minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor, sorry, Gino.
Please.
The first names in this.
Absolutely, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yeah, I mean, the report was certainly, well done. And I think that as a group and as a council, especially that these things have to be brought back to us. Even if we was, to add it to a special council. To be able to sit back and say, this is what we're doing. One of the things that really caught me here was that there's a strong interest of having councillors do town hall. And I know that Councillor Seltz and I have had a few at the Polish Hall, and we've had them at Costain a lot and various things, but to have them scheduled regularly would probably be a really good sign. Seems like every time we go to a town hall, it's because something is going to happen or something is about to proceed within the area. So if we could just have a where people can come out and say, hey, this is what happened. There's two neighborhood associations in Ward 2 that meet on an ongoing basis, that being Homedale and that being Grand Station. I go to those and they give you time to speak and so forth. I kind of fill them out with everything that's happening there. And it's a great question answer period if they want to ask a question. But to have something scheduled ongoing, I think would be great. That's for the incentive, my belief, would come in play. If we're going to make an incentive for people to be on the site, it'd be an incentive for people who are currently on the site to welcome more people on the site. We're looking at something to say, hey, a discount or something, as Sanderson said, if the public is saying, I can gather up 25 more people that would like to have their input, then that should be rewarded of something. And then everybody does that, and they kind of be the pay it forward thing, where it'll bring us a bigger and a more vast group. That's gonna be able to have a lot of input into what it is that we do.
Mr. Bradley is joining us.
My apologies.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
I just a thought, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels on that, but that to me is like, I mean, look at how many people were involved with this, how do we get that tenfold?
Yeah. So like a reward referral program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sam, did you want to jump in?
I was gonna say, I was struck by a comment made at one of the meetings. And the topic was the sports center. And the person was talking about a lack of a consultation.
Yeah.
And to get information. And you mentioned to her, all the information is available on the website.
Yeah.
And her comment was that you want me to make the work.
Yeah.
And so I guess I was struck by like how, like all the information is there,
Yeah.
but how are we gonna make it easier for this person to get it, even though it's there?
Right.
I was just struck by that, because you guys are doing the work. They wanna, I guess they wanted to consult because they were at the meeting and they.
Yes, they
it's-
cared enough
it's
to be there.
important,
Yes.
But not important enough to actually read it.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, Sam, and I think that like why it's so beneficial for us to go out and be on the front lines and talk to people is because sometimes we get into this sort of municipal bubble where it's all very obvious to us that if you want information about a major project, that you just put Southwest Community Center into our search bar and you're gonna see the project page and it's gonna have an FAQ that we have tried to anticipate every conceivable question that people have about the project. But not everybody knows that. Not everybody knows that information is readily available. So something that actually came out of that public meeting, which was the Saturday afternoon one, was, can you make it easier for people to know what's going to be on the council agenda? So immediately following that meeting, we started a new protocol on our social media accounts where we promote the agenda. So as soon as the agenda goes live, it gets promoted for the 4 days or 5 days between when it's live and when the next meeting is. Here's the link to the committee of the whole agenda for March 20, and so all they click on it and then they can see all the items. Because again, if you don't really know all the procedures and how municipal government works, you might not even know that on the landing page where it says agendas is the council agendas. You just might not know that, right? So, and the other thing that came out of that was, can you tell us in plain language what counselors are actually deciding? And even as staff who've been, I've been here for 10 years and sometimes I listen to it, I read it, and I turn to my colleague and say, so what does that mean exactly? Because I have to write about it and have other people understand it. So that too was really good feedback, is can you tell us in plain language what was actually decided? So that's another thing that we're gonna add.
That is so. So let me just jump in. One of the things that I find most people like a lot, so when I do a survey, a monthly survey, when I publish the results, I will also include anonymous comments that I've gotten from people, right? Like Maria said this, and
Mhm.
I think it helps when people can see their own opinion voiced in there rather than just being one of the percents of
Sure.
what people think, right? So that's something to consider.
Mhm.
Do it relatively anonymously, right? Maybe just the first name or maybe a first and last initial. One of the other things that I think we struggle with, we've talked about how we communicate the big things back and forth, but then there's the little things too, like we want to change the parking brakes on Blackfriar. Blackfriar, did I say Blackfriar or Black?
Probably black, but yeah.
On that street,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
And so we put something in the mailboxes.
Mhm.
People see no value in it. It just goes right into the blue box on red generally, right? And then we have a whole second degree of further communication. I'd really like to see us address somehow how we can do that. Whether it's, a yellow sign on the corner, maybe, I don't know. Think about that as well, about how we communicate the we things.
Sure.
Or the
Ones
sewers.
that are
getting
like
in line.
block or neighborhood specific.
Yeah, something that affects 100 people as opposed to 100,000 people.
Right.
And so the interesting thing with public meetings is everybody wants, but nobody goes to them. So Greg and I had a public meeting about a sign that we were gonna put at the corner of Wayne Gretzky entrance, right? We had like 50 people. I think you were at that one, right? It was great. And they wanted to talk about all sorts of things that weren't connected.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what,
While I'm here.
while I'm here, but that was the same thing we got at the Gretzky pool room, but
That's right.
they said, you know what, it'd be nice if there was an opportunity just to come in and talk, right?
Mhm.
Not necessarily about, the shirt that Gino's wearing, right? But maybe about Michael's glasses and Heather's, lanyard, right? And talk about all the things that they want to talk about instead of the things that we're channeling, right? Except when it's something that they're mad about. Right. People are mad about something,
They show up.
numbers, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe before your time even, Maria. There was a period of time, I think, when we had sort of an opportunity for people to come in and say to council anything they wanted to say.
Mm.
Which is, I'm not advocating that because that's, we got.
During a meeting of council?
Yeah, not a meeting, but a special session sort of regularly scheduled. And it
Okay.
ended up that we had a number of people who wanted to come and talk to us. And the mayor of the day had to say no because some of it was contentious. But maybe there's something that we do, maybe like Gino was, Councillor Caputo had suggested, and Slesser would agree. That maybe you go into the wards, maybe once quarter, once per half, once per year. Just let people talk, like what we ended up doing at Gretzky, right? Just letting them talk. So those are also
Yeah.
some things to
I think
consider.
People also said they wanted that
Yeah,
through like counselor hosted board meetings,
Yeah.
right? Because that is an opportunity to talk about the big things, but also the small things that are just unique to that particular ward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when's my tree stump getting removed, by the way?
yes, yes.
Laura, you wanted to go again?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, Gino, Counselor Pluto.
So. I just wanted to touch on what you were saying, Sam, which I think is right. And that's the world we live in today, and especially as counselors, right? You'll have an individual or individuals who certainly want to have a say, but they don't want to actually maybe partake or want to go the whole 9 yards. So it really is up to us to be able to provide them with everything that is possible for them, and to always see their issue finalized, completed right to the very end. I got an email yesterday morning from a resident about now that the snow's gone, there's a major pothole on the street. Sent out a quick email to where it needed to be done, and by the afternoon it was completed. And you know, there's a very happy resident, and probably a very happy street. But definitely the more we can do. So I think the challenge is for everyone in this room, especially. I don't know whether or not your close contacts or people that you associate with know that this is a committee you're on. How do you vocalize getting them involved with wanting to be a part of all this? Because I keep pushing everybody that I talk to, right? There's, reach out, always go on our website and take a look and voice your concerns and voice your opinion and see what happens. So, I know that Councilor Sluss and I have had a couple of meetings at the Polish Hall where there were certain development that was going to happen within an area. And it got very vocal. And at the end, the actual the situation as it sits now is that a specific building is no longer being built, and a completely different design is going in, and the entire residencies, like everyone in those homes, are completely happy with exactly what's happening. So they actually got heard, and we heard it. And I think that's what we want to do, right? There's a lot of things that are happening around our world today right now. I know that Mr. Goldberg wrote a beautiful article that I read that certainly had some input of what's happening. And at the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty. But that uncertainty has been around us forever. It's just a certain plateau right now. And I want to say, as a city and as a community and as people, we should never operate in fear. We need to do exactly what we said we were going to do and always maintain that type of pressure on moving forward. And don't get into the weeds with certain aspects of stuff, because it is temporal. They always are temporal, and they always come back in a better situation. So the better we could do with that, the more people will have to be able to reach out to us and say, how can we make Brantford beautiful? And while I'm at it, Saturday, please bring your families out to Harvard Square, as we are having a family fun day, which was originally supposed to be back in February for the Winter Fest. That actually was delayed because winter got in the way. Which I had a hard time at the beginning, but it was justified because the weekend that was to kick off was the biggest storm we had probably in Brantford in the 15 years I've lived here. I don't think the snow fell that much at that time. So everything that was planned for those days that we were gonna do really had a lot of the vendors back out, because how could we do this, what we were gonna do? So unfortunately, it's now to this, but that's the start. That's the start of community engagement, because doing the winter one leads to our summer one, which comes back to our winter one and goes to summer one. That's a great way of getting the entire community involved.
Also, now that you've finished your advert, I'm going to caution you to try and stay on top.
I am. It's how to get everybody involved in the city plan.
Where you engage the community.
And the force multiplier effect, which we are always use, right? Interacts, making sure that we copy community groups, neighborhood associations, and let them share the messages.
Absolutely.
Anything further, folks? Well, we have a item on the, Councilor Hunt, you haven't said anything yet. Do you want to jump in?
No, I'm all good.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you very much. We're gonna go to the vote on this, in item 4.1. If you could, go ahead.
All those in favor of item 4.1? Thank you. That carried unanimously.
And I do believe
That's it.
our work here is done, folks. Thanks everybody for coming today. Good report. You got enough time ahead of you to get this all done by May?
Yeah, so this will go to Cal in April, right? This, and so we'll see if council has any comments. If they ask for something more, then that might change the timeline, but for now, I think we can come back in May. Late May.
Yes, it'll be after May 15th.
So coming back to this committee.
This
when?
committee in May,
This
late May,
committee in May. okay.
yes,
It's coming to this committee before it goes to council.
yes, but this
Yes.
report, the findings will go to council
This is going to council.
in April,
Okay.
Yeah.
fair
right?
enough. Yeah.
From the task force, it goes to council.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna go to committee of the whole,
Yeah,
but yes.
yes, the council cycle,
Yes, absolutely.
yes. So 15th or the first one?
This will be, the cow ops, so it's going to be the first one.
Oh, because our meeting is usually planning and admin.
Planning admin?
Yeah.
The CAO's office?
Yeah.
Okay, so
We're
then
not ops, we're planning. and
April
admin.
15th.
Yeah.
April 15th.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.